welcome to another episode of Catch of the Week. I am with Yasin Kasirga. He's a good friend and he's an expert in sustainability, energy, and he's an international speaker. I'm proud of you, by the way, Yasin,
Thank you
because
so
you
much.
represent your company and your country very well. So today we will talk about sustainability, energy, or all the topics we want to talk, because it's one of the trending topics people like to hear. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, but before getting more in details, who is Yasin Kasirga? What's your story?
First of all, thank you so very much for having me today. I'm really fired up. You mean a lot to me, and every time we come together, we chat, I'm always enjoying it. Very quick story of mine. I think it was like maybe I was 11 or 12 first time I watched the movie Back to the Future. And over there, you know, the DeLorean, the car is normally operating with a plutonium flux capacitor. But in the second movie, it is damaged. So they need to find some certain electricity. And Dr. Brown is saying over there, 1.21 gigawatts that they need. So when I watched the movie, I remember myself at that time there was no Google, looking at all the encyclopedias and trying to understand what is this 1.21 gigawatts and how the electricity is formed. So I think I was fascinated first at that time. And fast forward, I joined Middle East Technical University, Mechanical Engineering. I fell in love with thermodynamics and all the heat transfer courses. I came to the understanding that energy and electricity is the lifeblood of the civilizations, and I need to build a career on that. Fast forward almost 2 decades, so I have right now happily the privilege of having more than 11 gigawatts of very different technologies, and currently I'm leading GE Vernova Carbon Solutions as a decarbonization leader covering Middle East and Africa.
Great, and also we are from the same university.
Yes.
I'm a chemical engineer, you are a mechanical engineer, yes. Two engineers discussing about sustainability. Very good story, but it's interesting you mentioned about it. The movie, also it's one of my favorite movies, but it also tells people that your childhood also defines your future. I mean, it's very important that you catch it. Okay, sustainability is a very wide topic. What are the sustainability trends, or which words we should be careful about it? Can you define some of the words that we should know?
Okay. Well, maybe to start with, at the global level or the country level, everybody knows the Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement is the common agreement between all those parties under the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. And there is an ultimate North Star goal, is to keep the temperature increase and limit it with 1.5 degrees. And every time countries are providing their nationally determined contributions, in another word, saying that this is how I am contributing in terms of emissions, and this is my target to be net zero, and this is how am I going to do it. So the next round of NDCs are up for February 2025. So it's a very important milestone, because we are expecting all those countries to come with a much ambitious targets, and together with not only the strategy, but also the tactics level. And that's why all these COP28, 29, 30 is going to be of super importance. On the companies level, as of now, we see almost all big corporations have established their ESG teams, and then they are already right now issuing their reports on a frequent basis. And this trend is going to go with more and more companies. As of now, again, thinking about the companies, we are very much looking with their financial performance. How are they performing? What's the next quarter results? Are they making money? But now the second trend of ESG reporting is going to be super important, because everybody will start to evaluate, and it already started, by the way, all their responsible performance, ESG ratings have an impact on the overall share price of the company. And together, connecting with this, of course, the flow of the money. So we also see on the banks level, multinational financing institutions, they are all looking at the due diligence of where the money is going to go. Is the project going to be adding more carbon liability to the world or less carbon liability? And that's why everything is now getting connected. So ESG reporting is a very hot topic. Carbon management, carbon accounting, these are, I think, all going to be super, super hot topics for everyone.
Let us open ESG because we know it very well.
Absolutely. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance.
Okay. Also, you mentioned about COP28, COP29. It's very interesting. When I'm living in Dubai, I learned Expo because Dubai was a host for Expo. I learned the meaning of Expo. What is it? Then everybody was talking about COP, and I learned the meaning of COP. Tell me the importance of COP and what it means. And you represented it. You are in COP, very active in COP28, and you will be in Baku COP29. Can you just give some details about COP?
Well, COP is the conference of parties to start with. So the parties are the parties of the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. And they come together every year to agree on the actions that they need to take on the mitigation, on the loss and damage, and the financing of all the climate-related actions. COP28, to me, it was a completely trailblazer COP because it was the COP of action. It was the COP of inclusivity. And when I mean action, we say always action builds hope, and that hope exudes trust. So there was a lot of outcomes in many different topics, whether it is food security, whether it is health, indigenous people, youth, especially on the mitigation part, which means literally reducing the carbon emissions. I was also very privileged to be one of their senior advisors working for the UAE government under the COP presidency. The outcomes over there, and a couple of them I'm going to give you an example. The oil and gas decarbonization charter. So we brought 52 oil and gas companies representing more than 40% of the oil production in the world to come, agree, and commit to reduce methane emissions until 2030. Just to give you the importance of the methane emissions reductions. The methane emissions right now in the world is twice than all the aircraft's emissions all around the world. So it's a huge achievement. Another one is tripling renewable capacity and doubling the energy efficiency savings by 2030. This was also agreed by all the countries, and I was also privileged to be a part of it. And now it's a part of the outcome text. So just even looking at these two outcomes, it shows how important the impact of COP28 was. And it's not stopping there. So COP28, COP29, and COP30 presidencies agreed to build a COP Troika. We have the UAE consensus, and then the other COPs following COP28 are going to be building on top of all these achievements. So it's about really publicity, visibility, inclusivity, because it's an everywhere, everyone problem.
Also, I was in COP28, and we bumped into each other a lot.
Many times.
And we introduced each other people, and I made lots of interviews, but it was an amazing experience for me, and it was also eye-opening for me just see that how things are very important and very big. And especially in the press there was a lot of like dilemma that how can a oil dependent country can be a host. But I think it was a very important message to the world that if we are not together because we are in the same boat, we cannot solve this problem.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit info about COP29. Should we expect something important, and what's the expectation from COP29?
There are already announced like 14 initiatives by the COP29 presidency, and for sure there will be a coverage for green storage, green grids, green zones, and many other different topics, as I mentioned earlier, including youth inclusion is also going to be a big part of it. But I would expect it's also going to be a remarkable COP because we are expecting by the end of the COP29 there will be a new agreement on what we so-called new collective quantitative goals on financing. Financing has always been a very important part of it. And it was always also the main topic of discussion between what we so-called the global north and global south countries. So hopefully there will be a new agreement on the financing goals, which is going to be remarkable.
Okay. Yes, financing is important because I always hear it. I mean, people make decisions, but nobody wants to pay. So financing part is very important. Okay, sustainability or ESG, I think, according to me, are difficult topics to communicate. Sometimes when you talk about it, people don't understand. So I will need your help for us to understand some real life use cases so that we can put it in our minds. Okay, this is about, if you do this, this will change.
Okay. Maybe we can start talking about Earth Overshoot Day. Since 1971, people are calculating the humans' demand from the Earth with respect to the Earth's biocapacity. In 1971, it was the end of December almost. It means that every year with our human activities, we were using almost all the capacity of the Earth. This year, the Earth Overshoot Day was a week ago. So August 1, 2024, we have already consumed all the biocapacity Earth can provide to us. And we already started to borrow from 2025. This is, I think, a very important aspect to understand sustainability. And just to make it very easy for everyone, I would say there is a framework of 4 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle, recover. And you can apply it for everything you can imagine. So if we can reduce the consumption, reuse what we are using, recycle as much as we can, and recover the part of those materials that we recycle, I think we will be having a huge step forward, because the world we created is almost a world of waste. Think about all the food that we are generating in the world. 1/3 of that food is going to waste. And it's also a loss of money. It's like $1 trillion. Or the plastics, to give the same example from our day-to-day life. As of now, the plastics that we are using, and all the amount of plastics in the world right now, half of them has been produced in the last 20 years. And the amount that we are dumping to the environment is equal to, as if, think about 5 garbage bags, and for every meter of the coast we have in the world, every day we are putting 5 garbage bags of plastic. This is not sustainable, and this is not going to be the way forward. So for anything we can think about our life, reducing the consumption of electricity, using elevators instead of using stairs instead of elevators, reducing the electricity usage, recycling, looking for companies who are already going for responsible sourcing. There are many, many things that we can do. What I suggest is United Nations has 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and there is an amazing book of 170 actions. So for each and every Sustainable Development Goal, there is a 10 corresponding day-to-day action for individuals to take. Maybe we can just put the link of the book. Everybody can download it in the podcast.
Idea, because sometimes people think that these are very big issues. I mean, the governments can, corporates should solve it,
it's
but
not.
Personally, we have responsibility to the world.
There is a lot we can do.
Okay, since I mentioned about to the world, now, sometimes when something happens, it's like a wake-up call, which I mean, everybody knows that you should eat healthy and you should go to gym, but or you shouldn't smoke. But if something happens, I don't know, a heart attack or important in your health, you start being healthy, eating healthy. And this year, Dubai has a big flood, or globally there are earthquakes, other big nature events. So this makes us like a wake-up call. Think, what should we do? We should do something urgent. Otherwise, we have to move to Mars. I mean, I don't know. Is it because is it the reason why Elon Musk is trying to go to Mars very quickly? Are we going to move to Mars if it goes like this?
I would agree that I think it's related with the human nature as well. We always say everybody wants change, but no one wants to change. So this is the basic problem. On the on the sustainability piece as well. We know it's the right thing to do, but going from business as usual to all these new sustainable way of doing things, or changing, thinking that we are going to lose our conformity if we do that kind of stuff. By the way, it's the opposite. When you go for reducing, reusing, recycling, recovering, you save money, you live healthy, you feel better.
Yes.
So there is always going to be the positive side of it. But again, it's a change management thing, and I think it's building up with the new generation coming with much more awareness on all these things. Coming back to the question on the Mars, I would respond it like on a very personal level. You know, the world that we live in is like 4.5 billion years old, and the average lifespan of a human is around 70 to 75 years. So I'm in love with the biodiversity, the life on water, life on the land, and I would rather stay here. You know what they say, you either do it or die trying. So, you know, spread the word out, combat all these challenges, and I'm sure we'll make it. So I'm staying here.
Okay, I'll stay here then. Okay. Now, Dubai, where we live, is a very futuristic city.
Yes.
And they like the new ideas. They have lots of strategies for future. Even there's a museum of future which
Absolutely.
inspires me. Even the name, they say we are building the future. Now we are talking these topics, as I said, with ESG. But if we were to do this episode, I don't know, 5 years later, are we going to speak the same things, or what are the future trends that we will hear more?
Well, I think on the sustainability topic, it's also boiling down a lot on the leadership, and frankly, I had a very good experience on the COP28, having the first hand chance to observe the leadership. It was one day before COP28 starts, and then we were gathering together in a closed meetup, and there was a story told to us by one of the leaders. He said, "This is a very young country, even younger than most of your parents, and when we were kids, we remember our uncles, fathers, they were all involved in pearl trading. So everybody was like, you know, super expert on the pearl. They had the books, some ledgers, small pearl, big pearl, black pearl, brown pearl. One day, someone from Japan invented this synthetic pearl. And next day, all the businesses that we have in this country was impacted and disrupted by technology. So the founding fathers of this country had this experience and the mindset, so that when they have the oil and gas resources, they always thought about years to come. And there is a very beautiful quote, very visionary quote. I think it was 2015 by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed. He said, "We may run out of oil and gas in 50 years, or we may be in a position to ship the last barrel of oil. However, are we going to cry that day?" He said, "If we take the right actions now, that day we will be celebrating the last barrel of oil." It really touched me a lot, and I think this really reflects the vision of the country. That's why we see a lot of walking the talk. I mean, UAE already announced their net zero targets, the first country in the region announcing it, green hydrogen strategy, infrastructure in that regard, and all the industries are working together with the pillars and the projects that are going to help to achieve this target. So I think it's walking the talk.
Okay. Actually, my last question was about like, how is it to live in UAE and sustainability, because they are the leaders. I mean, you want to add something about it, like working in an environment that the government gives too much importance and the value. Does it also motivate you?
Certainly. I say, in order to realize things, especially on a big scale, you need to combine the three elements of technology, financing, and the regulations. Mm-hmm. And the regulations is also including government support. So if you don't have the government support, if you don't have the policy or the ultimate direction of travel coming from the leadership of the country, you cannot achieve things. So I think in UAE, you have all these ingredients, and that's the main reason we are seeing progress.
Today in the news there was something about flying taxis, and they said at the end of next year it will be active in Dubai.
I would not be surprised at all, and there is, I think, more to come.
Do you remember this cartoon Jetsons?
Yes,
yeah.
Jetsons.
It was very amazing. Okay. I don't want to get into too much details, but especially in energy, there are lots of things that we use: blue ammonia, green ammonia. Give us a little tip about this, and what in energy sector, what will we hear more? What will it change? We are not going to use any gasoline in our cars, or also electric cars are very popular?
Well, I think we are at the cusp of an industrial revolution, to be frank, and there will certainly be fuels for the future of the future, but those fuels will be low carbon, no carbon fuels. And that's the color coding we use to associate the carbon footprint of that particular material. So we have green hydrogen, we have blue hydrogen, green ammonia, blue ammonia. Literally, the color of the material molecule doesn't change. It's much more referring to the way we are generating it. But I think, again, coming back to the basics of keeping 1.5 degrees, building the future of energy, and at the same time decarbonizing the current system, we'll be seeing a shift in terms of the fossil fuels in a transitional way, in a fair, just and equitable way, to the low carbon, no carbon fuel economy. At the same time, new technologies are going to be adopted. We will be capturing carbon, and we will be finally coming to that net zero point with all these technologies, financing, and the regulatory framework coming together.
Okay. I have two big hobbies, to be honest, the fishing and basketball.
Yes, I know.
And sometimes we play basketball with you, but
Yes.
what are your hobbies? I'm curious.
Well, recently I am progressing on scuba diving, which is like, I'm just looking forward for the next one. I cannot express how I feel joy, happiness when I'm underwater.
And also it's also related to what you do. I mean, marine or sea clear is very important.
It's really amazing to see that biodiversity. David Attenborough, which is one of my heroes on BBC, he says something: you don't protect what you don't love. So I think that's the main thing. I think we should find a way to teach, to share the beauty of all the nature, biodiversity, life on water, life on land, so that everyone, future generations and existing generations, find a way to protect it as much as they can.
Okay, we are about to finish our episode. My last question will be, what did we catch? Because it's the catch of the week.
Catch of the week.
Before that, you
Yes.
think about it. Let's play a game. I will tell you one word, and you will tell me immediately what came to your mind.
Okay.
Okay. Sustainability.
The way of life.
Ankara.
Hometown.
Dubai.
Hometown.
Okay. What else? Oil.
We'll be here for some time.
Anything you want to add? Because there are lots of topics we can see, but also before we close, I want to add this. It's your time.
I think I would just ask everyone to be change maker. This is a collective action. It's all boiling down to increase the awareness, asking for it, demanding for it. At the end of the day, it's our life, it's our planet, it's the life around us. And then anything we will do on this topic is just going to come back to us with positivity. So everybody, be a change maker, go for it.
Okay. Now my question. What did we catch today?
Catch of the week.
Catch of the week.
I think we can finish it with a phrase that I like a lot. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. but the next best time is today. So action today.
Thank you. Great interview.